prophesy the downfall of this wicked society and the upliftment of you Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, Haitians, and any descendant of theirs on the father's side of Negroid and Indian descent. To tell you, you are the children of Israel, you are kings and priests under the Lord. We'll start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH, Ba'ashem, YAHAWASHI, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who are the elders of Yasharallah, and a sincere salutation to all you Akim out here preaching and believing this word in all truth and in sincerity, man. Let's get 2nd Ezra 15 to the top. Because this is the time of prophecy, man. The Lord said in the last days that he was going to gather his children from wherever he scattered them from, and that he was going to touch the multitude concerning their wickedness, man. And that's the age we're coming into. We're coming into death and destruction. Now the world isn't going to tell you that, but the Lord set up his prophets in the last days as it were appointed unto death to reveal the true nature of Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawashi, man.
This is Ezekiel chapter 36 and verse 24. I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries and will bring you into your own land.
And that's prophecy, man. The Lord said that he was not going to suffer us to live under our enemies, under oppression forever, man. That we were sold to the nations not for our destruction, man, but because we angered the Lord, man. We got put under our oppressors because we angered the Lord and we violated the law, statutes, and commandments. That's why you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are on the bottom, man. Our problem is not an economical situation. It's a spiritual one, man. The spirit of these Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans aren't right with the Lord. So the curses are falling upon us, man. You got a question?
Yeah, can we read Psalm verse 91?
Chapter.
Is that okay? Like, that's a really good chapter. Like, we're out here with full, like, a lot of people filled with, like, sinners and all that jazz. Like, you know, there's plenty of demons out. Why don't we just protect them instead?
Because they say pray not for the wicked.
Yeah, so why don't we just...
So we're not out here to pray for sinners. We're out here to tell sinners that are of our nation to come back to their heritage. If you're not trying to keep the laws of the Lord, there's no use of praying.
What are the laws of the Lord?
The laws, there are 613 laws, statutes, and commandments.
Which one, under the First or the New Testament?
It's under both testaments. The Lord never got rid of the law.
So, tell me a law underneath the Old Testament.
A law under the Old Testament is that you keep the Sabbath, and that's punishable unto death. And you're not supposed to eat lobster, shrimp, shellfish, or swine. That's a law under of the Lord under punishment of death.
Perfect. Now, what's another law underneath the Old Testament? No.
But this is what you said. This is John chapter 7. This is John chapter 17 and verse 9. I pray for them. I pray not for the world, but for them which thou hast given me, for they are thine.
Yeah, so the Lord didn't pray for the entire world. He prayed for the world of the elect. The elect of the Lord.
Why would you hell Satan? He's going to go to hell. It's like you.
Good. Here he's got the best.
You got a question. I've given you a few laws that are out in the Old Testament.
But you do also, no, like, I'm not like a hackler. Please believe that. Like, I'm 100% like a devout Christian. 100% I follow under Catholic rule as well as Protestant. So don't think I'm out here hacking. That's not my point. My point's not to upset you.
Oh, if I can say this.
My point is that when Jesus died on the cross, he died on the cross for all of us.
No. Let's get back to 15.
Well, the thing is, I believe.
Let's get what the Lord said. We're gonna go.
Right, go ahead, yeah. Show me.
We're not going to go out our heart.
No, go ahead, yeah.
We get back to 15 and 24.
Like, prove me wrong. That's my point.
Are you on this side? Take a look at it.
Yes, right here, but I should be...
By your father.
Your father's or your mother's side?
It's always my mother, never my father.
Good job. Says who?
Says who? You or the Bible?
Scriptures say that's by your mother.
Well, you carry your father's name.
So why would you do that if it's your lineage determined by your mother?
Because I was inside my mother's womb. I carry my father's name.
Let's get numbers 1 and 15.
Yeah.
That's the spirit.
This is Numbers chapter 1 and verse 15.
Hey, Okay, you're up.
18.
Twice.
1 and 18.
Numbers chapter 1 and verse 18. They assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward by their posts.
That's why you have a lineage of what you call Jesus on his father's side. Because the father carries the seed. He said that out of the seed of the loins of King David was going to come the Messiah. I got it right here.
This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, verse 1. I myself also am a mortal man, like to all, and the offspring of him that was first made of the earth. And in my mother's womb was fashioned to be flesh in the time of 10 months, being compacted in blood of the seed of man, and the pleasure that came with sleep.
So it's determined by the seed of man, which is why they say the house of David. Why you have the house in the man's name? Because the man's seed determines the nationality. The mother is the womb. It's like the earth. The earth gives life to seed, but you stick an orange seed in the dirt, you don't get an apple. So it's determined by the seed of the man of your nationality. That's how you determine
I'll be right back.
Alright. Cut to the heart. So continuing on though, the Lord is calling us out here to prophesy to our people, man, whether they hear or forbear. Now those are, from the looks of it, they're Israelites, man. But only the Spirit is going to deal with the elect, because the Lord is not dealing with the common Israelite right now. He's dealing with the elect of the nation of Israel. Those who are going to hear this word and gravitate towards it and actually perform it, man. Because it's a lot of people that hear the word of the Lord and don't perform the works, man.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 13, verse 26. Men and brethren, children of the stock of Abraham, and whosoever among you feareth the Most High, to you is the word of this salvation sent.
Yeah, because you had, ever since the wilderness, you've always had a multitude of Israel who rebelled against the Lord, man. Who loathed the Lord, who despised the Lord's laws and commandments, man. If you read through Exodus and Numbers, man, you see the rebellion of our people, man. And it's clearly shown today, man. Even in one of the worst captivities we've ever been in, you have 2/3 of our people who refuse to come back to any type of order, man. Every man of Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, they want to be a king by themselves. They don't want to treat their brothers like kings. They just want to be a king. They want the glory of their brethren, but they don't want to treat their brethren with the same authority and royalty, man. And that's why we're destroyed as a nation of people, man. But it was prophesied that we would be destroyed. It was prophesied that Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans would be on the bottom. But in the last days, we would get the last laugh, man. And that's what's coming.
If I can say this to you, that's why, you know, the Most High said Yahawashi was so important in this. You know what I'm saying? Because if you read the book of Judges, Israel got delivered a plethora of times. And then after like 40, 30 years later, what did we do? We went off again, we went off. You know what I'm saying? The Most High got tired of that, man. So what did he do? He sent Yahawashi, right? This is Isaiah chapter 45 and verse 17. But Yashar Allah shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end.
And that's why Israel needs to be changed, man. Because our deliverance and our everlasting salvation is contingent on us being righteous forever. Under the first covenant, we had to keep the laws in its fullness to remain in the land, man, but we were shaping in iniquity, man. That's why the Lord says that in this new covenant we get new bodies, man. That's why Yahawashi is the Hamashiach, man, because he's ushering in a better covenant, man. That we may be kings and priests forever, man. A world without end, man. That's something that Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans can't fathom, man. But the Lord has put the spirit on the remnant to come back to their heritage and realize what Yahawashi was trying to do the whole time, man. The Lord has the dispensation of all. The Lord ain't got a time, you don't have to rush this situation, man. The Lord is about results, not about getting this done in a timely manner. The Lord is eternal, man. So he got, you know how many lifetimes it took for us to get here, man? How many times we had to die and be reborn in captivity for us to get to the last leg of this race, man? This is a long journey, man. And if you read what our forefathers did before, man, our forefathers sinned, man. And because they sinned, here we are at the bottom, man. Destroyed, man. Well, the Lord said that this is the time that many righteous men desired to see, man. They desired to see our enemies fall slowly, man. And that's what's happening, man. You got these, all of these nations are starting to rise up against the one you call America, which is known as Babylon the Great, man. In South Africa, you got them Canaanites saying, telling the white man to get up out their land, man. Now you got the Tabernacles of Ham telling the white man that he not allowed to abide in their land no more. They call it land reformation without compensation, man. Meaning they taking back the land that was stolen from them through government policy, man. Now through the spirit, we know that all of this diplomacy is going to end up being in a physical war. All of this diplomacy, all these trade wars is going to end up with, what are you doing?
I'm just listening to you, dude.
Back up a little minute. Back up a little bit. Stand on our property.
Amen. Amen.
But you got the Tabernacles of Canaan telling the so-called white man in South Africa to get up out of his land, man. And they're offended, but how can you be offended when you got that through blood, man? Everything you established, and they took 70, in South Africa, 70% of the agriculture is done by the so-called white man in South Africa.
But
that's a problem, they're the minority.
What's the USA gonna do? Like, I feel that, dude. I feel like the same, like, we should, like contribute to. Like, there's so much, like, we should contribute to. But what are we gonna do, dude?
Contribute to what? What do you mean?
The fucking forever, dude. Like, what are we gonna do? We're trying to get all these kids to throw down.
It's Joel chapter 3, verse 8. In verse 9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Verse 10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Verse 11, assemble yourselves and come ye, heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither, because thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Verse 12, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahawah.
No one's gonna
for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come ye, get you down, for the press is full.
And I've heard this since I was 10 years old.
The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great.
If I heard this when I'm 20 years old,
and that's what's happening right now. The wickedness has gone to an increasingly large state to where now the harvest is ripe, man.
I get it.
Now the Lord gets to chop down the wickedness, man.
But no one's gonna be at that point. I've heard this since I was 10 years old.
Okay.
But
why
this kid has heard it since he was 10 years old.
So what?
Why is he gonna hear it when he's 25?
Noah prophesied for 100 years, man.
I know, it's crazy.
But it happened.
It will happen. I believe it. I believe both of you. Yeah, I have.
So right now we can't have a proper dialogue.
I understand that I cannot say anything while I'm drunk, but I believe all y'all. Really, I really believe in y'all. Like, keep fucking speaking the truth. Speak the truth.
All right.
Speak the truth, dude.
You will.
The gospel is the truth.
Right.
Really?
All right, man.
Yeah, for sure. No.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
Gotcha.
The truth, yeah?
You're going to continue preaching, all right? You're going to go on.
You believe Jesus Christ is the truth?
Just for him.
You believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God? Yes? I believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God. Dude, I believe in y'all. I really do. I believe in every single one of y'all. Hey, can I give you a hug?
No, I'll shake your hand though.
This is
Can I give someone a hug? Hey, you want a hug? Dude, I believe in y'all. I really do. Fuck everyone here. In 20 years, dude, Jesus Christ.
This is Matthew.
Real.
Jack, Rastafari.
Dude, Matthew is what's about.
Jesus.
Matthew chapter 24,
Exactly, I'm saying.
verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom.
You trying to convince people, yeah?
And there shall be
That's what y'all are here
famines
for.
and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows.
So we're just now entering into the beginning of sorrows, man.
100%.
Into the beginning of
100%.
destruction, man.
100%.
And that's what the Lord prophesied thousands of years ago before he laid his life down, man.
100%.
He prophesied that destruction was going to come, man. And this was going to be the sign of his coming, man. And now you have nations rising against nations. South Africa is just an example, man. That you got the other nations that were in league with Esau. Now they're starting to turn against her, man.
I believe him.
They're gonna burn her with fire, man. It says that I have made you small amongst the heathen. Now
I believe you.
greatly despised,
I
man.
believe you.
I can say this too.
I believe you.
Hey, what made America such a superpower on this earth was that nuclear bomb, man. It was that atomic bomb that they dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
All these kids, dude.
When the other nations seen that, they said, whoa, we can't beat these motherfuckers. We're gonna have to join them. You know what I'm saying? But now that these weaker nations are developing their nuclear arsenal, guess what? The scripture says, let the weak say I am strong, man. That's what that's talking about, man. What's going on, bro? Hey, listen, you're intoxicated, brother. You're out here every Saturday.
And the Lord said in Isaiah 14, he says, this the man that made the earth to shake, man. We going in the kingdom, Esau's gonna be looked at as very small, man. And people are gonna be shocked how they were convinced of Esau being the superior man, man. Because for anybody to believe Darwin's theory, then you have to believe that the so-called white man is on top, man. Right. Because a part of his theory is that Caucasians are the highest form of human beings, man. So even a regular Latino or Negro or any other nation that believe Darwin's theory, you're endorsing white supremacy, man. Because Darwin believed that Caucasians were the top human class, man.
You know Jesus Christ?
Which is false,
you know Jesus
man.
Christ, yeah?
Which is another falsehood that he's perpetrated out here, man.
Can I tell you about Jesus Christ?
We got the stage up here. Back
Jesus Christ is in here.
Back in Joel chapter 3 and verse 2, I will also gather all nations and I will bring them down into the valley of YAHAWASHI.
Do you know about Jesus Christ?
And I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, for whom they have scattered amongst the nations and parted my land. Verse 3, they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for an harlot and sold a girl for wine that they may drink.
I want to talk to you.
Verse 4, yeah, and that had ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine. Will ye render me a recompense?
Jesus Christ, dude.
And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return recompense upon your own head?
And the Lord said that he was gathering all nations to fight for his people, for Israel's sake, man. So in the grand scheme of things, the World War III is being constructed for the sake of Israel, for the sake of the salvation of Israel, man. And only the elect on this side, man.
What would they call it before the day was dropped?
So all the destruction, all the
Everything is about
for the sake of Yahshua.
I'm telling you,
because they sold a boy for a harlot.
He just speak over the camera.
You're talking to me that
They did all kind of wickedness.
I'm talking to you
they got
about
away with
like,
it. Or at least they thought they did, man. But now we come into a time where you gotta pay for what you reap, what you sow.
He doesn't care what you are.
You don't
he just wants you to believe.
Speak of that. Yeah, answer any question you got.
Goodness if you sow wickedness, man.
He just wants you to be good.
Look, man, we trying to teach, man. We didn't come to be preached unto, man.
Tell me.
In order for us to tell you something, you gotta listen, man.
Listen, I'm listening to you, dude.
All right, don't. I'm Nahawah.
Can I shake your hand?
No, right now you can just pound. Yeah.
That's fine.
All right, just keep it quiet, man. Let us teach. If you got a question,
let me hear it.
You sincere?
Yeah, let me hear it.
Answer it, man.
Yeah,
but
of course.
It's obvious you're intoxicated.
I mean, been there, done that.
Okay, but Joel, the 3rd chapter, said that the Lord is going to gather all nations for his people's sake, man.
Yeah.
And this is what we're coming into. This is the time that we're coming into now.
I believe it.
The Lord's about to deliver his
I believe it.
Man.
I believe it. I believe it. Dude, it's coming, dude. It's coming. I believe it's coming.
This is Matthew chapter 26 and 52.
Gospel. Tell me the gospel.
And Yahawashi unto him, put up again thy sword into its place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword.
Gone.
Yeah.
And that's spiritual.
Dude, what did...
And that's spiritual, man, because the Lord didn't ask us and require us to pick up arms. The Lord required us to be spiritual, man.
Yeah.
He said, wait until I rise up to the plate, man.
Exactly.
He said, wait until I rise up to the plate.
No, what they asked him, what is the first and greatest commandment? What's the first and greatest commandment? What's the first and greatest commandment? Please, what's the first and greatest commandment? Matthew, dude, I'm telling you, Matthew, dude, what's the first and greatest commandment? What's the first and greatest commandment? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. Love your brother as yourself. Who's your brother? Everyone. Everyone's your brother.
Everyone is not your brother.
You're telling me I shouldn't love everyone?
You can do what you want to.
I should love everyone because
that's on
Jesus told me to love everyone.
Where he said that? What scripture?
Dude,
what scripture is that? You look it up.
I got you. Dude, Jesus, like, what's the Lord, dude?
Whatever you just said, back it up with a scripture.
I got you. Of course. I got you, man.
Exactly.
There's coming a time, man.
Of course, dude. I love this shit.
The scripture says basically, Yahawashi told Peter, if you live by the sword, basically you shall die by the sword. Now, in that instance, he was talking to Peter, but that's spiritual though, because Esau's blessing in the beginning was to live by the sword, which goes to show that his end, and Esau is gonna have an end, man. That was spiritual.
Yeah, of course.
Because Esau's blessing, I'm gonna read Esau's blessing right now.
Talk to John.
This is
John the Baptist.
Genesis chapter
John
27.
And Jesus'
verse
brother.
39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above. Verse 40, and by the sword thou shalt live, and thou shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have dominion, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck.
Yeah. You know? And it was prophesied that he was going to have to live by the sword, man. The fatness, he was going to get the fatness of the earth through the sword, man, through destruction. But Yahawashi told you that those who live by the sword shall die by the sword. So it don't matter how much time has passed between this and now, between then and now, there's a payment for that.
Exactly. I feel you,
and the payment is that the so-called white man is going to be exterminated.
Too long.
The so-called white man is going to be exterminated.
It's been too long.
He's going to be wiped off the face of the earth, man.
It's not
because of his wickedness, man.
If I can say this out.
Bring it up.
Hey, somebody bring out Ecclesiastes 5:1, man.
It won't get that far, but I believe in y'all.
Ecclesiastes 5:1.
It won't get that far.
Hey, listen to this, man.
But that's the Old Testament. We got New Testament, dude.
This is Ecclesiastes chapter 5.
You got Jesus
and
Christ.
Verse 1.
Listen to this,
Jesus
man.
Christ has, dude, Jesus Christ.
Keep
Jesus
thy foot when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil.
Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene.
And they don't consider that they do evil. But you know what? On the back end, the Lord is going to put him down, man. The Lord is going to put him down, man.
Yeah, let's hear it.
On the back end, all of the wickedness, all of the vain words is being preached and spoken of against the word, man, it's going to come to naught, man, in that day, man. And it's going to be well known, man. That's why the Lord, specifically concerning our people, tells people in wisdom, don't come up here giving the sacrifice of fools, man. Because you have no idea what you're doing in the spirit, man. You condemning yourself in the spirit, man.
This is Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 21. Though hand join hand, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered.
And everything starts in the spirit before it manifests in the physical, man. Right now, it's spiritually the separation is beginning, man. Starting with the house of the Lord, man. The separation between the remnant and the rest of the nation is happening right now spiritually, man.
Come on.
these nations turning back to their own people and leaving that Babylonian spirit is a product of the Lord's spirit, man, according to prophecy, man. But it's all going to manifest into physical, man. It's all going to manifest into a physical destruction and a physical judgment, man. When everybody got the liberty to do whatever you want, when you have the liberty of eating when you want to eat, going where you want to go, anybody can talk proudly. Anybody can say what they do and don't believe in. But when your back is against the wall and your faith is all you have, it's going to separate the boys from the men. And the Lord right now is spiritually preparing the elect of his nation. Truly the leaders of the new world, man.
Jesus Christ is their Lord and Savior.
But the Lord is not even dealing with 2/3 of his own nation, man. Let alone the heathen,
died
man.
for my sins. I'm a sinner.
You gotta hold this
forever. I'm a sinner.
Precious, man.
I'm a sinner.
You have to hold this truth precious to you, man.
Tell me I'm a sinner.
Because in the world of darkness, the Lord has given us light, man. And yeah, we got to deal with certain things in the flesh, man. But it does not compare to what we shall receive if we endure to the end, man.
There's Isaiah chapter 33 and verse 6. Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and the strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure.
So right now, it looks like it's no profit to the men of the Lord to labor in the faith, man. But we know in the spirit that in that day, this is going to be our hedge, man. That the Lord is not going to forget our labor of love, man. That we stood out here against wickedness, man. That we stood for our nation when nobody else would, when nobody else would, man. The Lord ain't asking us to raise up arms, man. Ishmael over there raising up holy hell because he believed that the Lord told him to pick up a weapon, man. The Lord ain't asking his nation to do nothing but follow after him, man. In truth and in sincerity, man. Matter of fact, the Lord jack our people up worse when we try to pick up arms and go against our oppression, man. Whether it seems harmless or not, man, the Lord is requiring for us to have patience, man, and faith, man. Because if you look at our history, the heritage of our nation in that book is a shameful one, man. Because it always lacked faith, man. We always lacked the faith and the will to follow after righteousness, man. Which means that we always were in captivity, man. Which is why our people are so accustomed to being on the bottom, man. And the Lord blessed us with the actual position of the top, man. Moab want the top, Ishmael want the top.
2 Corinthians chapter 10, starting at verse 3. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. Verse 4. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Yahawah to the pulling down of strongholds. Verse 5. Casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of Yahawah, Esau, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Hamashiach, Yahawashi.
Yeah, and bringing every thought into obedience, meaning fighting that flesh, man. Fighting those wicked thoughts, man. Putting those thoughts in captivity that your spirit might flourish, man. Because we breaking down strongholds, man. Before the Lord put the prophets out here, people thought that this so-called white man was the Lord, man.
Oh, man. Oh,
this image right here is burned in our people's minds, man. And it's been our destruction, man. It made our people praise their own oppressor, man. The same person who put so much hell on them and made them worship them, man. And now the threat of this stronghold being broken down is why all of these nations are coming up against the truth, man. Why they want you to be everything else except an Israelite, man.
I got you, huh? Isaiah chapter 14 and starting at verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?
Yeah, and that's what's happening. Now you're seeing the proud start to fall, man. And they're gonna fall as a nation, man. You ain't gonna have a couple Edomites creep in the back door of the kingdom, man. Because we fell as a nation, man. The Lord told Jeremiah, even thyself shall discontinue from the heritage that I gave you. What did Jeremiah do wrong? The Lord judged our entire nation, man. If the Lord only wanted a few righteous men, we wouldn't be in captivity. There was always men of this nation trying to do the right thing, man. But the Lord required our entire nation to do it. Because that's in the contract, man. That's what our entire nation agreed to, man. So the world is going to be in this condition until the Lord delivers his people and put his people on top through the spirit of YAHAWASHI, man. We're going to be able to reign in righteousness, man.
Hey, if I can go ahead.
Back in Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Yahawah. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. Verse 14, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Verse 16, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms?
Yeah, and that's what Esau does, and Esau's spirit has trickled down into every facet of life, man. Wanting to sit on the mount of the congregation, that's what Christianity does, man. Because now you have another heathen nation telling you how to worship your power, man.
It's a curse.
Telling you how to worship your power, man. You got another nation, the same nation that put their foot in your ass, telling you how you should pray to your power, man. That's a part of the curses, man. And now the Lord is starting to bring that same man down, man, as a nation. Because our people met our destruction and our fate as a nation of people. Likewise, they're going to meet their fate as a nation of people, man. This is Micah chapter 1, verse 2. Hear all ye people, hearken, O earth, and all that therein is, and let the Lord power be witness against you, the Lord from his holy temple. For behold, the Lord cometh forth out of his place and will come down and tread upon the high places of the earth. And that's what YAHAWASHI is about to do.
No, I was saying Micah 2, 1 and 2. Yeah.
Gotcha.
This is a quote from Asada Shakur, right? Going back to what you said. Nobody in the world, nobody in history has ever gotten their freedom by appealing to the moral sense of the people who are oppressing them, man. Well, back to what you said.
Because that's a telltale sign of destruction, man. That's a telltale sign of destruction, man. For you to worship the things that your oppressor tell you is fact, man. That's a clear sign that you're destroyed, man. Docile, man. And now that we're in the last days, breaking that stronghold down, man, we're being presented with opposition, man. You got a question?
Yeah, I'm just curious about all of this, actually.
Well, for your edification, the reason that we have this down there because that's not what the Lord looked like in the scriptures. That's not even what the scripture. Go get out the scripture what he actually
This is Revelation. I'm starting at verse 1. Revelation chapter 1 and verse 1. The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass, and he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John. Now, when it says something is going to shortly come to pass, it's talking about a future event, a prophecy. So this is what's going to happen, right? I'm going to jump down to verse 13. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and a girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow.
This man does not have white hair. That's one cut in this image.
That's strike one. Play baseball. Verse 15. Verse 14. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire.
The reason that his eyes were as a flame of fire was because the Lord drank wine. And whenever you drink wine, your eyes go red.
Especially with the Negro people, when we drink wine, you can tell that we're intoxicated because the whites of our eyes get red. And like you said, the brother said, the Lord likes to drink wine. Verse 15, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace.
What color is brass? Right. So brass, in that Greek translation, that would be bronze, which is like the bronze metal that the Olympic people receive.
Just like, matter of fact, that
or
exact
a penny. Or a penny is a good description of what bronze would look like,
which is brown. As if they burned in a furnace.
So the Lord's feet, a shade or derivative of brown, as if it burned in the furnace. So that would be a dark brownish color. Now that doesn't match up with the image. This image was put up in the 1500s during the well, that would be the 16th, early 16th, late 15th. But that image was put up during the Renaissance, which was perfect. So when Esau, which is what you know as the so-called white man today, for a period of the Dark Ages, so-called Negroes, as you know, so-called Negroes ruled during that time. During the Renaissance period, or rebirth, images were erected like what the Lord looked like. That was contrary to popular thought.
It's on the right.
It's found all over Europe before the Renaissance period. That's what the angels, the Lord, and all the people in the Bible were depicted as.
Daniel chapter 10 and verse 6. It said his body also was like beryl. Talking about the garment that we wear now. It said, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as the lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like into colors to polished brass. So that's not how to go.
Let me get some water real quick. You want some?
Are you respecting that today? I really agree with everything you're saying. So God bless y'all.
Take care, friend. I get y'all's homework next week, man.
I want that answer.
I get it next
week. Make sure I get it.
That's the spirit, man. That's the spirit. Because the Lord said that he was going to appoint the apostles as it was appointed unto death, man, and start breaking down these strongholds, man. Brother, people here are forbear, man. And in these last days, man, it's important to approach every spirit that come up with humility, because you never know if that's one of your brethren or not, even if they look like another nation, man. Because this is that hour where the confusion of faces are going to start coming back in, man. We're at that time, man. And the Lord is starting to open up and having a confusion of faces come in all across the world, man.
This Isaiah chapter 65 and 11. But ye are they that forsake the Lord, that forget my holy mountain, that prepare a table for that truth, and that furnish the drink offering unto that number. Verse 12, therefore I will number you to the sword, and ye shall all bow down to the slaughter. Because when I called, ye did not answer. When I spake, ye did not hear, but did evil before mine eyes, and did choose that wherein I delighted not.
And that's 2/3 of Yasharahla, man. They're preparing themselves unto death, man. They're preparing themselves for the slaughter, man. Because while you cleave unto these heathens in the time of distress and destruction, you're going to fall just like these heathens, man.
I get it.
Because you hearken not unto the word of YAHAWASHI. Here it is, we're placed on corners across the world, across the globe, to tell you to come back to your heritage before the destruction happens, and you hearken not, man. So the Lord is fully justified, even more so than before, to put you to death, man.
Verse 13, therefore thus saith the Lord, Yahawashi, behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed.
And that's the time we're coming into now, man. The fruits of the labor of the elect, the hopeful elect, is about to be reaped, man. And the fruits of the wicked is about to be reaped in the same time, man. And that's going to result in brothers that serve the Lord that endure to the end laughing at the destruction of the wicked, man. Because you had the opportunity to come back concerning our people. You had the opportunity and you pushed it away because you had liberty to do wickedness, man. Right now, our people got liberty to get into everything that they want to get into, and they refuse to get into what was really profitable for them, man. Which is the truth, man, the scriptures.
Come over here or go over here.
Isaiah chapter 65 and verse 15. And ye shall leave your name for a curse unto my chosen, for the Lord God shall slay thee, and call his servants by another name.
And that's that's the time we're coming into now, man. And we're looking at 2/3 of our own people like cursed, man. Because you refuse to come back to the Lord, the law, statutes, and commandments, man. You refuse to come back to your heritage, your power, man, your protection. So for that, you're going to be treated like a heathen. You're going to be judged like a heathen, man. And that's what the Lord is starting to bring into fruition now, man. People that sit in America look around the world like it's never going to come to them, man. Rome didn't think they were going to fall, man, until it happened. Rome was doing the same shit y'all doing today until it happened to them, man. Until destruction came like a thief in the night, man. And this civilization is no different, man. People think because of the so-called technology that's pushed out in the world that death and destruction is not going to meet you for your wickedness, man. The Lord is about to remind you that He is the former of all things, man.
Can you explain the new covenant?
The new covenant? Yeah. Hebrews 8 and 10. I got you. So, we're going to get it out of the scriptures, but the new covenant is that, well, with the first one, the laws were put on stone. And we had to rehearse them. And if we went off, we gave a sacrifice. And the new covenant, those laws are going to be put into us. And the same way we breathe, you don't tell yourself to breathe, you just breathe.
Hebrews 8 and 10.
The righteousness is just going to flourish and you're going to keep the law perfect. Which is why the Lord said we're going to have an everlasting salvation. So the new covenant is about Israel receiving the laws in their bodies so they perform it perfectly and they rule forever in righteousness.
But how we get there? We're not there yet.
We're not there yet because the Lord, when the Lord comes back, it says that the Lord is the author and the finisher of our faith. So right now we have faith and hope that He's going to save us. For the remnant that the Lord saves of our nation, they're going to be imparted with that second covenant where they keep the laws perfect. All of the children that they have are going to be perfect as well. And through that covenant, we're never going to have to go into captivity again. The Lord said in Lamentations that our iniquity is accomplished and He will no more carry us into captivity. The only way He can do that is if we're perfect in the law. The reason we're here now is because we broke the law, statutes, and commandments. So we're going to show it. We're going to show you in Hebrews what we're talking about now.
This is Hebrews chapter 8, verse 10. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. And I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts. And I will be to them a power, and they shall be to me a people.
Because when you go through the Old Testament, what you find is that Israel has a habit of keeping the laws for 30 years, 40 years, a generation, maybe two, and then going off and being put into captivity. And that was a continual cycle. So the reason YAHAWASHI is so important is because He's ushering in the last covenant that we need to maintain and receive salvation forever. Which means that we have the laws written in our bodies and we don't have to try to be perfect. We're just perfect. And through that, we're able to teach the rest of the world and the rest of the nations how to conduct themselves. We're supposed to be the example of righteousness on the earth. People are supposed to see Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans and say, I want to be like them in righteousness. Right now, everybody wants to be like us in wickedness. Everything that our people do, the whole world follows. The Lord required us to be righteous with that power. What we've done is taken that power and done wickedly with it, which is why everybody profits from our style. They'll take our style and they'll win with it, but you can't win with it. Because that's a law, that's a curse put on us by the Lord. He said that you should be on the bottom. Everywhere you go, no matter where you go on this planet, you're gonna be on the bottom. And it's because we didn't keep these laws perfectly. Well, the Lord has given us the new covenant. Somebody get Matthew 26 and 28. And
I got one. Yeah, Isaiah 45.
Yeah, bring out that. You got 45 and 17.
Isaiah chapter 45, verse 17. But Israel shall be saved in the Lord with the everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed, nor confound the world without end.
So the Lord prophesied that Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans will one day have a world without end, an everlasting salvation. The only way we can have that is if we perform the law perfectly. You can't be a judge if you're a hypocrite. You can't try to keep the law and tell somebody to keep the law. The Lord requires us to be perfect so we can teach the rest of the world how to conduct themselves perfectly. Like right now, in this fleshly body, we know what's right, but we can't always do what's right. Because this body it doesn't discern spiritual matters or moral matters. It's a beautifully made machine, but it doesn't discern moral matters. Which is why the Lord is going to upgrade our people so that we can have those laws put in our spirit or in our flesh so we can perform it perfectly. Then we can teach the world how to conduct themselves, that they need to keep the Sabbath, that they're not supposed to eat certain foods. And they can look at us and say, all right, they're doing it perfectly. Because the world wants to be like us now when we're not doing it right, which is why we're on the bottom. The Lord prophesied that we will be on the top, and that we will have these laws perfectly, and we'll judge every other nation according to righteousness.
This is Luke chapter 1, verse 68. Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people, and hath raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David.
So the reason YAHAWASHI, the one that they call Jesus, was always prophesied to come. People get misconceptions on why he came. They think it's to save the entire world, but really he was always promised to come to be a savior unto Israel.
Only Israel.
Only Israel. Now, the other nations will benefit from Israel being saved because they're going to be under righteous rulership. Somebody get got it?
This is Isaiah chapter 2, verse 1. The word that Isaiah the son of Amoz saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all the nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of Yahawah of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths.
So just like they follow us now with wickedness, the Lord prophesied there's going to be a time where our nation is established in our own land, which is Israel, and the world is going to come to us to learn our laws, to learn to be righteous. Like simultaneously, we're going to be spiritually perfect in the flesh. We're going to walk and perform these laws perfectly. Right now, one of the laws is adultery. Whether a woman has a ring on her finger or not, if she's dealing with a man sexually, that's marriage. Because to the Lord, for you to have sex with somebody, that's marriage. That's you being joined unto each other. Adam and Eve didn't have some ceremony, and then they were married. He knew her, and that was his wife. So the Lord has already created certain things in the earth that's supposed to be respected. But now in this world, you don't have that. And the Lord is going to establish that through his people. So his people are going to be made righteous, and then they're going to go through the world, and they're going to enforce these laws. But they're not going to have to enforce them so much as to the fact that all these people want to be like our nation anyway. So once we are established and we're on the bottom, and people want to be like us, could you imagine us in our glory? They're going to automatically try their best to be like us. But if not, there's punishments according to the law, and that's what our nation was set up to do, that, to run this world correctly. And we're not doing this.
Well, in Isaiah 2, when they're talking about the mountains, that's talking about governments. So the government of the Lord is going to be visited. It's going to be set above all the mountains and the hills of the heathen nations, right? Now, when you look at it, a mountain is just something really big, right? They called them hills. A hill is you can ride your bike over a hill. that's also signifying how great and how big we'll be in the kingdom of heaven, you know? And like he said, during the time of King Solomon, you had people coming from all over the world just to visit and just to partake of his wisdom. So imagine the kingdom of heaven.
Scripture, man. It's Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God, Yahawah, commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither you go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great, who had God, Yahawah, so nigh unto them, as the Lord Yahawah our God is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great, that has statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law which I set before you this day? Only take heed to thyself, and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, and lest thou depart from thy heart all the days of thy life, but teach them to thy sons and thy sons' sons.
And that was important, man. That was our priority. The Lord had established that with our people, that this was your priority, to keep these laws and put him first. And from that, if you don't listen to him, every aspect of your life will be checked and challenged. And that's what happened. That's why Adam had to work for every meal that he got once he went off. Because obedience is better than sacrifice. This is the result of disobedience. Where we are now is a result, and it's every aspect of our lives, whether it's labor, whether it's you dealing with your woman, whether it's you having children. Everything is a struggle for our people. And it was meant to be like that because we didn't hearken. That's why he said, take heed unto thyself. Take heed unto yourself that you listen to me, because it's going to be bad for you, not me. And that's what happened to us. Now look at us. But the Lord he's everlasting with mercy, man. And you got to thank YAHAWASHI for the mercy, because we don't deserve it, bro. We really don't.
This Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, thy power to observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. If I tell you something too real quick, like the brother just brought out, that you gotta thank YAHAWASHI for sending his son, right? Now just a second, the brother went into adultery, right? When you understand the concept of adultery, taking a woman's virginity, humbling her, is you marrying that woman, right? Now, adultery is sin unto death. That's a sin that's punishable unto death, right? When's the last time you've had a virgin? Most women out here hasn't been a virgin, right? So if it wasn't for the mercy of the Most High sending his son, then you would have to put every single Israelite to death. We'd all be put to death.
Like even if you want to think about the Sabbath, man, Sabbath is punishable by death.
But what is Sabbath?
Keeping the Sabbath is 6 days you work. On the seventh day, you're not supposed to work at all.
And that's Sunday, or?
Well, that's according to the new moon. So before they had calendars, they measured their dates by the moon. So the new moon would be the new month, which is the Sabbath day unto itself. And then you work 6 days, and on the seventh day,
that's another.
So we're in this captivity, so we can't keep that perfect.
Exodus 20 and 9.
Yeah, because you force, to go to work, to pay the bills.
But see, that's where the wisdom of Paul came in. That's why Paul was guiding the new believers into the wisdom and trying to give them the balance.
20 and 8, yeah. This Exodus chapter 20, verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy power. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor the cattle, nor the stranger that is within thy gates.
And to be honest,
11:2.
In the world, once the kingdom is established, all nations are gonna have to respect that, which is a better rulership anyway. You got jobs that'll work people 7 to 8, 9 days straight. Under the Lord's people, under Yahawashi and the King David, under Yasharallah, the world is gonna have to keep the Sabbath and the high holy days. I mean that no work is gonna be done. You're not supposed to cook on the Sabbath.
This is going to explain what the Sabbath really is, right? Exodus 20 and verse 11. For in 6 days the Lord made the heaven and the earth and the sea and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it.
Yeah. So it's a memorial of the creation, man. The Lord created in 6 days. He worked in 6 days and rested on the 7th. And as his people, we're commanded to honor that. So in our cycles, work 6 days, and on the 7th, respect the Sabbath. So that's a part of our laws, but it shows you that we're in captivity. That without the grace of Yahawashi, we shouldn't even have this right now, bro. Like we really, it's a pleasure to have it.
Exodus 19.
Because the Lord could have put us to death just for not keeping the Sabbath. He put somebody to death for picking up sticks on the Sabbath. So it's deadly serious for Yahawashi.
Matter of fact, 5 through 9.
Grace and mercy, we're able to have this knowledge and do our best. The Lord is requiring us. He's requiring effort.
19, 5 through 9.
Effort through faith and law.
Faith and work. So you do it to the best of your ability. But what you can't do, that's why the Lord died. He died for what you couldn't do on this side. You know?
But what about when we sin? Repent.
So yeah, when you sin, repent. It says that a righteous man falleth 7 times and get back up again. So we're gonna make mistakes. Don't think that any brother on this side is perfect. We all messing up. We all working. All of us are incomplete works, man. And we're not complete until the Lord gets back. So we're gonna fall. Even now, we're gonna fall. We gotta get back up.
What do you ask me?
Said, what happens if we sin?
Oh, okay.
But that's what the grace period is about. With the grace period, you still have to pay the bill, or you still have to face the judgment, but you have grace to get your stuff together. The Lord sees your heart. So if you messing up, Paul talks about how there's a war within his members, that he knows what he needs to do is right, but that the flesh always wars with the spirit. So there's going to be times when you go off. It's going to happen. But you got to get back up and continue to walk in faith. It says, offend less and insurrect. So you just try your best. And especially just coming in, you're going to learn stuff, you're going to fall, you just got to continue to get back up.
Now how do you go about repenting? How do you repent?
You're supposed to pray. And when you pray, you're supposed to face the east. You're supposed to have your hands up, and you're supposed to speak with the Lord.
Hey, this Sirach 17 and 24 through 26.
It's like let's get some verses.
Sirach 17, 24 through 26. I'll read it. Sirach chapter 17, verse 24. But unto them that repent, again, but unto them that repent, he grant them return, and comforted those that fell in patience. Return unto Yahawah, and forsake thy sins. Make thy prayers before his face, and offend less. Turn again to the Most High, and turn away from iniquity. For he will lead thee out of darkness into the light of health, and hate thou abomination vehemently.
So the Lord is requiring you to return sincerely, not to be perfect. On this side, we're required to try. The effort is required, because if you read, once you start getting to scripture, you're going to read. Our people have always had a habit of keeping the laws, and they just completely forsaking them. The Lord didn't jack them up because they made mistakes and they sincerely came back. The Lord jacked them up because they turned their back and they wanted to be like the heathen. They didn't even want to try anymore. The Lord requires us to try on this side. That's why, because if we could do it perfectly, we wouldn't need what they call Jesus. His sacrifice would have been for nothing. The reason that the Lord died was so that sincere believers to come back, and even though they have sins upon them, that they can still be received of the Lord. That's the adoption of sons. We went through this whole world in wickedness, and now we're coming back to our Father like, I know I messed up, and I'm sorry. And it's about being sincere because the Lord sees your heart, you know? So right now, it's about trying, you know? being diligent as much as you can, having faith, and trying your best to do law, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability.
Yeah, just going into what you were saying about Paul was saying how he's a wretched man. He said, this is Romans chapter 7, verse 13. Was then that which is good made death unto me? God forbid. But sin, that it might appear sin, working death in me by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceeding sinful. For